The metaphor of the company as a family is now being labeled as toxic, as referenced by one of the recent Harvard Business Review articles. On the other hand, influential CEOs like Reed Hastings of Netflix are saying that companies should be treated as pro sports teams instead of families. But at the same time, a company is also a collective of human beings who can't be expected to stop being human beings the minute they cross the doors and enter the office space. So how do we reconcile this changing metaphor with the fact that we are all inherently human? Let's close the loop on this. Joining me on Close the Loop is Abhishek Mishra. Abhishek is the talent and culture head at Sakal Media Group. Abhishek, welcome to Close the Loop.
Thank you, Srinivas.
Honor to have you here. So, Abhishek, this whole concept of company as a family, do you feel that this feeling is this metaphor or this thing that companies typically have used for many years in the past? Do you feel like that's sort of changing because they feel that family, if you think of your employees as family, you may not be very firm with them or you may not be able to push them towards peak performance. You're always more forgiving. So do you feel like this metaphor does not have a place in the modern age?
I completely agree that this has become a metaphor and is not completely accepted in organization or corporate as a culture. So when we talk about the culture, we always say that we want to treat our employees as a family. But do we really do? Are we following the path of a family? So in family, we are more sensitive towards our relatives, toward my son, my daughter, my wife, my mother, parents, and everyone. So am I really doing it in the office culture also?
And there are no layoffs in the family, right? You don't fire anyone.
We always find a solution for betterment of all members of the society. We do not only think about the like for any particular person, for any this thing. So, or if we are saying that we are building a family or we are a family, we have to think from that logic that how I'll treat my own family members. So yes, nowadays when more of the professionalism has come, people think more practically. Organizations profit or maybe the revenue is the first point of discussion in all the discussions which we have. So there is one thing that yes, if the business is not coming, if business is not growing, we will not be able to sustain. This is one thing. But do we have any solution? Can we find out a solution? Can we think through like a elder member of the family, the head of the family, and then take a path which is for the betterment of the organization also and for the employees also. And family should grow. We never say that like we will eliminate one of our sons, we will eliminate one of our daughter from the family tree and things like this. We always think of increasing our tree.
So do you feel like employees are also looking at this, like you use the word practical, are both sides sort of looking at it? I mean, I spoke about the employer, but both employer and employee, are they both looking at this very practically to say that we are not a family? We are something else that we'll figure out what we are. But right now, let's accept that we are not a family.
So I'll give you an example what happens in a family. The head of the family have bigger responsibility and more responsibility towards keeping the family intact. Similarly, organization or maybe the management or the leadership being the elder member of the family, it's their responsibility to build a culture where all members of the family should feel inclusive in the family rather than be. So you will find people rebellious in the family also. You will find people rebellious in the organization also. Do we treat them separately in the family? We may have functions in our family. Do we start like not inviting the relatives who are rebellious but we do invite. Similarly, so you will find all kinds of people in the family. Similarly, you will find people in the organization also. There will be people who may be against of some thoughts. So you are dealing with emotions. You are dealing with humans. So obviously there will be different opinions. There will be different emotions. So this is how it is. We cannot be, organization or management cannot be rebellious. He is doing this, we will do this.
So what's your opinion on the professional sports team metaphor, which is also being thrown around these days. Does that work better than family?
When we talk about team, so obviously when team gets, so there is a concept.
Let's say like
of,
an IPL team.
Yeah, so but there is a concept of like when team gets built, so there will be some kind of discussions, there will be some kinds of fights also.
Yes.
So it gets started from there, and then there will be normalization. People
Forming,
will start
norming,
forming,
storming,
norming,
and
and storming and all.
Yeah.
So people gradually will start accepting the thoughts. They'll be more inclusive in. So this is how it gets started. So when you will talk about a sports team,
Even there are.
yeah, so this agreements will always be there because again I'm saying we are dealing with humans, we are dealing with emotions, we are dealing with different kinds of values at one time. So disagreements will always be there. Power lies where how you deal with these kinds of disagreements.
Right.
This is when a balanced people or a balanced leader comes.
And the true test is when there is a friction. Because otherwise, when everything is going well, whether you call it a family, you call it a team, it doesn't matter. But only when there is a friction point or there is a gray zone, then your approach is what determines.
Yeah.
So like you spoke about balanced. I think today we are also living in the era of mental health. So today there's a lot of focus on, understanding people and the way they are, their personalities, and also the level of their mental health, about being sensitive, being empathetic, being mindful. So, what is your take on whether these principles are they actually being used or implemented in the workplace today?
Mindfulness, when it comes to mindfulness or anything related to mindfulness, it comes from the person's core values, and you cannot change it overnight, or you cannot change it by telling them some rules that we as an organization this is the code of conduct, as an organization these are the rules. So people talk about the positive energy in the organization, the positive energy in the team. So it all starts from the leader. He'll have to inject this positive energy, this balance in his team. When you are saying gray area,
right?
So he needs to be balanced. When I'm saying leader have to do this, leader mind should be balanced. He should know what needs to be followed, what needs to be practiced, because team will follow the leader. They'll follow what leader is doing.
So how does a leader get to that?
Correct. State? So what the concept of spirituality, if we'll bring in the organization, this is when I'm using the word spirituality, this is the most unacknowledged, most underrated, or maybe it has got a backseat somewhere in the organization which is not getting talked about.
Also, not a term that's very well understood.
Right? Yeah, correct. So before I tell you what spirituality is, I would like to tell you what spirituality is not.
Okay.
So spirituality has nothing to do with any religion. Why I am saying this? Because all religions tells us you should be spiritually strong. And when they are telling us that you should be spiritually strong, it is all about your mind exercise. You go to gym for your physical exercise. Similarly, you will have to do your mind exercise. Many times in the organization, during the discussions, we see people get frustrated. They start shouting on their team members. Managers start shouting on their and people fight among the teams. There is no coordination. There is less collaborativeness, and these things. From where it is coming? It is coming from the culture of the organization which you are building, and how you are building by leaders are doing it. So team members.
So you're saying that there is a kind of an imbalance within the leadership.
Correct.
And that's what propagates into the culture.
Correct.
So how do spiritual principles address this? How can let's admit that it is something very different from religion. So it's a kind of a universal set of principles. So what are some of those principles?
Core principle of spirituality lies in 4 letters, which starts from M, mind, starts from mind.
Right.
So your mind needs to be balanced. You need to think before taking any decision. You need to be calculative before taking decisions. Many times leaders have to take very quick decisions. Other word is service. So when it comes to service, it is all about acknowledging good work. We all talk about CSR activities, corporate social responsibility, underprivileged homes and underprivileged children. We help them by giving them some books and this and that. All organizations used to do it. I'm saying, why cannot we do this in our own office? Why cannot we give a paid holiday to all the office boys and housekeeping staff for a
Yes.
day in the office? And it's our own place.
Yes.
We are spending half of our life in this
In the office, yeah. Yeah.
with the colleagues with whom we are working. So they are our family members more than for us staff, which do not we never talk about them. We never
Absolutely.
we have R&R awards for our employees. We do not have any
Not
R&R
for the
awards for
staff.
our housekeeping staff, for our storekeepers. For
Sometimes I feel like they're not even seen by us. You know, they're around us,
not
but we
the
don't
part
see
of the
them.
family. This is what I'm saying. Then I'm saying
That is
I
the
have a
true-
family, so this is how I should treat. So
So
this
mind
is it.
and service to
Service. Next is H. So it comes from humility.
Ah.
So when I am saying humility, I have read a very good example. I'll tell you. So when you see the globe, you will see the coastlines which separates the sea and the land. When you will zoom in, you will see people, you will see some trees, you will see some details. When you will zoom in more, you will see more details. You will see some garbage also. You will see some people, some ships, some animals, and everything. So I'm saying spirituality tells you to go deeper, to find the root cause, to go deeper in the issues, to find out the solution for the root cause,
Right.
to find out the solution from where it is coming from.
Correct.
Not to give you the solution which are temporary in nature.
Correct. Correct. So
When
you
you
go
are
deep and get the right solution.
Correct, and you try to find a permanent solutions, and this is how the leaders should behave in the organization. This is how the manager should behave in the team. They should trigger the root cause and find the solution for it. So,
But okay, given these principles are there, and let's assume that these are the ones that are kind of ideal, and let's also assume that they don't exist today, like most people don't follow them. So, what are your recommendations on how organizations can, first of all, define a set of these principles, and two, how do they ensure not just leaders but every individual employee? Like, what would your advice be to the HR community?
So we can start practicing this. We make training calendars in the organization for our employees. We decide the party days, we decide the annual function days,
Yes.
and everything. Why cannot we have a spiritual day in the organization in a month, and we can have a spiritual calendar where the manager or the leader will sit with all his team and will do a group meditation, will do a group yoga. I'm saying this has nothing to do with any religion. Nowadays we have different kinds of mindfulness, music
meditation,
and different kinds of yogas, which gives you which help
Anything
you
that brings that balance to the, to
which
the mind.
help you to be balanced from your mind also
Yes.
and from your body also. There are good tools available nowadays, and with these practices, if they'll get embedded in the organization, they'll bring a different kind of culture altogether in the organization, where people will be feel more inclusive. People will be feel so when you see that when you say that we'll do a team activity, we'll do outbound experiential programs for the team to build a team. So why not group meditation? It's a team building activity.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's a great point. I think reflecting on the question that we started this episode with, it doesn't matter the label that you give, family, team. These are the ways in which we can fix some of the fundamental things. As long as the fundamentals are okay, it doesn't matter what you call your employees. So thanks a lot, Abhishek, for sharing your insights with us. And I think this is a topic which has not been, like you mentioned, has not been discussed. And I hope that more and more people in the corporate sector start thinking about this and incorporating spirituality and spiritual practices in doing business.
Right.
Thanks
and
so
building
much.
a good positive culture in the organization.
Yes. And thanks so much for being on Close to Loop.
Thank you, Srinivas.